Hello, and welcome to all of you. Hi, I'm really excited for you all to join us. Hi, Lana. Hi, Tracy. We will be going over today keyword research, and so bear with me as I attempt to host our first ever webinar, but my goal is for this to be very, very useful to you all, and I do intend to release the recording afterwards. But as we wait for others to trickle in, I'm going to start a poll. So if you are able to, you should see a poll pop up on your screen. I'd be curious to know kind of where you're at in your product launch journey, which will help me kind of tailor the answers to these questions. And what we'll be doing is we'll be going over our source material today. And then towards the very end of this, we will, depending on how much time we've allotted an hour for this, I'll open it up to Q&A questions. My intent is to get super nitty gritty here. However, I don't think it's going to take me an hour to walk you through this. So awesome. Let's see. I would be really curious to know kind of that poll. And then towards the end of this, I'll kind of be looking at the results. So yeah, I'll probably wait maybe a couple minutes in. We'll see how many people ended up joining us for this session. But I do appreciate you all joining. And then again, depending on how many people we have in here, how many questions we have, that will determine basically how many questions you'll be able to ask throughout this process. And throughout this process, if you have a question in one on anything that I'm typing here, feel free to, at the very bottom of your screen, there's kind of like a little question bubble. Feel free to click on that. You'll be able to input whatever it is that your question is in there. And I will be kind of taking a look as those things roll in. So if you need clarification on something, please use the question bubble and I will make sure that it gets explained as often as I can see it, definitely in real time. So I'm going to wait probably about 2 more minutes, and then we will hop right into it. And actually, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. This is going to be a step-by-step walkthrough. I did kind of I did definitely vet what I'm going to be going over and the products, etc. today. But you're going to see me kind of go through and refine and talk through my keyword selection in real time. Now, full disclosure, this is not going to be a here's how to refine and build your campaigns and fully select the keywords product list. This is going to be a walkthrough of how you get kind of what some people refer to as like a master list or your keyword list, or basically what you're going to build your campaigns off of. The reason why I'm not going to take it one step further is because how you construct those campaigns is really dependent on how aggressive and or not aggressive you intend to be. Mainly, most people are not aggressive because they want to have more profitability. So those are kind of like two different campaign build out types. But this is definitely step one. This is, the first step and actually has to happen before you go through and build out your product launch. So with the interest of time, I know we're recording, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started on this. And then again, if through this you have any questions, please feel free to ask them immediately using that question and answer option. And then depending on how many people we have in this room, we might make it more dynamic. I do have the ability to like unmute people and allow them to speak, so we might get more of that kind of back and forth dynamic going. Cool. All right. Let me walk you through this. And all right, so these are the 5 steps to generating your keyword list. These are steps that I have kind of built out as I walked through this today. Now, I will be using helium-10. And like I said, note the goal of this process is to generate a solid list of keywords. You can pick and choose from those for your campaign launch. Again, if there's enough interest, I probably will make this maybe a part 2 to how to actually build it out. And of course, that's going to depend on your goals, your budget, the number of keywords you find. And that's something that we will go through, and I'll kind of talk through what I would be looking at, because this whole keyword evaluation process is actually a really, really good way to kind of understand the potential in your space. And by going through this process, you're actually going to gain and like insane amount of understanding of your particular product niche. So it's actually a good process to go through almost immediately, and sometimes even before you like launch products. I don't do like product research for clients, but I have kind of gone through this process to help some clients thinking about products kind of evaluate what the potential is and what kind of search volume is available in their particular space. So this process can be helpful in that way. All right, so this will be, again, I'm going to actually walk through this. But this SOP, I will be giving this out to anyone who's attending along with the recording. So if you want to go back and watch this, you can do that. But let's start with generating your keyword list. So what is step 1? Step 1 is to generate the first keyword list. This is where I start, and this is what makes my process slightly more unique. A lot of people will go to Amazon, they'll find kind of like top 10 products they think are like theirs, and they'll dump it into a tool. I actually have a step before that, and it's kind of like a 2-part step, but the first one is generating the list. So for today's purposes, I actually found a product, and I'm going to be like doing keyword research for this particular product. And I picked this particular product because it really illustrates well when I talk about there's good market depth, or there's a lot of depth in like relevant keywords, or I go through like, hey, this is kind of what makes it maybe slightly easier to launch in more competitive markets. This is actually going to be a really good illustration for this. So this is the product that I'm going after. It is a muslin swaddle blanket. So the main place I'm going to start is going to be going to a keyword research tool, and I'm going to be using helium-10 for this. It doesn't really matter. There's plenty of good tools on the market. We just like helium-10. I'm comfortable with it. There's other tools like Jungle Scout. Some people use Viral Launch. The things that you really want to be able to do is, one, have something that allows you to type in a keyword and generate a list of keywords off of that. And then you want to have something that allows you to do reverse ASIN search on a particular product. Okay. So step 1 is going to be get a keyword that you think is the most common way a shopper would search for your product. This doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be pretty good. And I would say the main keyword in your competitors' titles are a good place to start. So if you're not really sure, oftentimes what you can do is go to the competitors that you're kind of vetting, look at their titles, see what they're going after, and then start typing that into search. But what you want to do is we're going to take whatever. So in this case, I'm going to say baby blanket. And that's a really good place to start, because it's going to kind of also illustrate for us why baby blanket is not a good keyword to go after for this particular product launch. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type baby blanket, if I could spell, into the keyword list. And this is going to be our step 1 for this process. All right, moving right along. I know there's kind of some of these steps are pretty simple and straightforward, and then some of these steps are not. And this is the step that is going to give you a really clear and distinct understanding of your particular market. To be honest, the most difficult products from a advertising or a launch perspective are the ones where you don't have a really distinct high search volume, high relevancy keyword. So we're going to use this original list that I generated for in Magnet. So Magnet's a tool that allows you to, type in a keyword. So we're going to do this. So now we're going to go into Helium-10 and we're going to sort the search volume highest to lowest. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to the search volume column, and you can click on these, and then what it's going to do is going to sort the search volume highest to lowest. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to start at the top and work your way down the list. You should be analyzing each keyword to determine how relevant it is to your product. If a keyword is relevant, the Amazon search page should contain all or mostly like products. And then another one is if you're unsure if a keyword is relevant in search, searching on Amazon, look at your search page and ask how well does the product fit here. So I'm going to walk you through this very specifically. So baby is not something that I would consider a highly relevant keyword. And for these purposes, I'm going to actually pop this open on Amazon and just kind of show you what this actually looks like. But if we look at this particular search page, again, we're trying to ask ourselves, how well does my product fit here? And we're looking for a page that has a lot of very like products to ours. And for this purpose, because we're trying in launch we're doing two things. One, of course, we want to generate sales, but then the second thing we're actually trying to do is vet how viable this product is, right? We're testing our price points. We're testing our main images. We're doing our best to launch with our best foot forward, but sometimes we don't always hit it on the mark. And so for that purpose, what we want to do is show up on search pages where it's very obvious that our target market and our specific shopper is looking for a product like ours. And this can do two things. One, of course, it allows us to know that we're targeting our absolute ideal shopper. And so if for whatever reason we're not seeing good click-through rates, if we're not seeing good conversion rates, if we're just not generating sales, but we know we're showing up high on places where our ideal shoppers are purchasing, then we know for a fact that there's something not 100% aligned with our offer. And maybe we need to then look to the offer being, again, like main images, listings, price points, etc., to kind of appeal better to our target market. But the second thing that it should also do is if someone is typing in a very specific search and looking for a very specific product, typically speaking, you'll get better conversion rates doing it that way because again they're looking for our specific product, which better conversion rates also translate into better ranking. So again, I'm really driving this point home because you'll hear talked a lot about like high relevancy keywords, very relevant keywords. We want to launch on relevant search pages. You'll hear it. But what I really wanted to do today is go through and just specifically illustrate and walk through kind of like how I'm thinking about it. And then also kind of illustrate for you how it might be difficult in sometimes to like really find those search pages, and then really kind of give you an idea of why a launch with not that many, like not that depth of keyword. And we're going to go over kind of like keyword depth when we get to kind of like the end and refining our list. But for this particular purpose, if we look here at this search term baby, does our product fit on this page? Technically, maybe it could appeal to the shopper, but you can see how varied this search page is, right? Like we have a playpen over here, we have wipes, we have like a hip carrier set. The shopper that is typing in baby may not know what they want. It could be someone who's looking for a gift for maybe a baby shower, but it's so varied. And one of the ways that the ranking algorithm works is through sales velocity. There's other things that go into it, as we all know, but one of the major things is just how many sales are these particular products making through this one search page or other somewhat relevant search pages. And depending on the amount of sales, the higher the sales, the higher they're going to rank. So in that case, if we're looking at the search page, just analytically trying to get an idea of what's going on here, if the products are, again, very specific to our product, then we can be certain that shoppers are purchasing products very specific and like ours, versus a page like this that is quite varied. we're not really sure what the shopper is looking for. It's not really indicated here. They could be searching for this, they could be searching for this. And remember when I said on one of the two things that you could be trying to do on launch is trying to just vet how well your offer resonates with the market. If we are looking at a page like this, if we get a poor click-through rate, it might be because those particular shoppers are looking for baby. Maybe they typed in baby and they're looking for a baby bib. It's hard for us to determine, am I getting a poor click-through rate because my offer isn't hitting my target market and they're not interested in it? Or is it just because they were searching for a different type of product and my product happened to show up? So that's kind of how I want you to think about the relevancy. So what we're doing in this is we're working our way down the list because we want to find the high volume, high relevancy keyword. So that's why we're sorting by search volume, and we're working our way down the list. And a lot of these you can just skip over. Like for instance, I know baby boy clothes, not relevant. Sleep sack, no. Baby essentials, no. Baby and boy, no. And if there's at any point where you see something, and I've done this myself, is you'll think, well, maybe that works. Maybe it kind of could be a sleep sack. I'm not really sure. When in doubt, just go search it on Amazon. Take a look at the search page. How specific are these to my product? If this is our product here, that is not relevant to our product. So we can pass over that one as our high search volume. Now, I'm seeing a product right here, muslin swaddle blankets. Let me click on this one, and because I kind of went through this a little bit just to make sure that this would be a good search and a good product. This is a really good illustration of how specific this search page is to my particular product. So if you look here, notice the material of these particular products. When you're looking to see how relevant, you want to see kind of like materials, possibly colors. Now for things like, baby, you might get into gender, but that would be going more in depth. I'll kind of show you how you might take a look at different, what I call like groupings of keywords in a little bit. But right now we're looking at the search page. This is very relevant to the products. Notice the material, notice how well our product fits on the search page. So for us and our purposes, this muslin swaddle blankets is going to be very, very specific. Now I want to go even deeper, and I want to look at swaddle blankets, and then I also want to look at baby blanket, which in this case, the swaddle blanket, it has a higher search volume. But in this case, I want to just show you how you could get like an almost specific search page, but it's not quite there. So in this case, we kind of have like this waffle texture, and this is baby blanket. So you notice how we have like this poofy, more quilted texture. We have a fleece stroller. There's more of these draped blankets, receiving blankets. We have a knit blanket. See how it's kind of varied? Now, could our product sell well on this search page? Possibly. It's a baby blanket, but I'm also noticing that a lot of these top ranked blankets are the more warmer, fuzzy, thicker blankets, which our blanket in this case is thinner and may not specifically appeal to maybe these shoppers. And then also let's look at swaddle blankets. Same thing. I'm seeing sort of, oh great, this thing froze. That's not cool. It's not letting me scroll down. That's weird. Okay, I'm gonna do that again. Okay, here we go. Notice that in these swaddle blankets, we do have some that are muslin, so our product might fit well on swaddle blankets, but we also have these like kind of more wrapped swaddles here as well. And you'll also see some more knit types of blankets here. So our product does actually fit quite well on the search page, and that's why it's actually like a good way to check, but it's not like a very specific search. That coupled with the fact that muslin swaddle blankets has a higher search volume. So this is my top high volume, high relevancy keyword here. Okay. So now that we have that, we're going to move on to step 3. And so we're going to get the top 10 products for this particular keyword. So this is where I kind of, like I said, I do a similar process to a lot of people out there. Again, like kind of look at the top 10 products and really, do a reversation search, generate a very curated list, determine that. What I do in the beginning that's a little bit different is first look at this, again, where is my high search volume? And so what I want to do is I'm going to look at the products specifically that are ranked on the search page that I know is kind of like my mountaintop. If I'm gonna rank on something that I know is super relevant to my product, I want to get those particular products. And this helps me to get, by looking at something that's high volume and high relevancy, I can start by determining what has what should have pretty good sales volume because it's a higher search volume keyword, but then it's also like super relevant to my product. So it gives me a good starting point. Cool. All right, so let's search on this muslin swaddle blankets page and wait for this to load. So now that I'm up here, and again, I'm going to be using Helium 10. There are other tools out there that do this. And if you didn't have like a browser extension of any kind, so in this case, again, I'm going to be using Helium 10's browser extension. If you didn't have a browser extension, what you could do is simply go through and then just pull the keywords from the top ranked ones and then throw that into a tool. So it's really up to you. Now, I do want to point out here. All right, so we're going to search the keyword we discovered in step 2, and then we're going to use in this case, Helium 10. So we're going to use the Helium 10 extension X-ray to view the product stats. We're going to sort sales highest to lowest, and then we're going to select the top 10 relevant products, taking into account how like they are to our product. So we may or may not care as much. It really depends. In this case, we're going to see a lot of like style options. So things that could show if you're like could be like price points. For instance, if you are launching with a super premium product, you might want to see where the more higher price products rank. You might look at style. So in our case, it could be color. So we're looking at things that are muslin, which again should be super specific because we're looking at relevant search pages. But depending on where you've kind of ended up, that may vary. You could look at things like color. So for instance, ours is blue. We might want to be looking at maybe more the boy specific colors, because in this case, if we're more, again, girls can wear blue, obviously, but generally speaking, if someone's looking at a blue blanket, most likely it's for a baby boy. So in this case, we might want to look at styles or colors that could appeal more to a baby boy. It just depends on how much sales you see in this search. So let me go through here. And the other thing to look at is pack size. So we have a single blanket. We might want to look at other blankets that are single blankets, but what I would want to do, let me go back to this muslin swaddle blankets. I'm going to click on Helium 10. Then I'm going to click on X-ray. I'm going to look at these products. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to sort them by sales. Highest to lowest. All right, so what I'm trying to figure out is where is the highest sales volume products. Now, what you're going to want to do is, again, we're refining this list and we're getting specific. Now, depending on what these sales numbers look like for these products, you may want to go a little bit broader. Broader would be selecting things that are pretty relevant, but they're not like, we're not going all the way down here to find only the single blue ones, because at that point our keyword list is going to be kind of muddled. It's not going to be as robust because things that are ranking higher tend to have a lot more indexation and a lot more keywords they pull. So do keep that in mind. The more narrow and refined your list goes, the less search volume you'll probably find and the less amount of keywords you'll probably find. But the more broader you go, typically speaking, the less hyper targeted and relevant your keyword list will be. So you kind of want to find the balance between higher volumes and super specific. All right, so we're going to be going through this. Also in the notes, anything that you see an SP on, you want to completely ignore that. That is a sponsored ranking. And anything that has sponsored, they have paid to be there. So in that case, it's not worth it. And there is a way for us, again, we have paid for a more premium option of helium 10. So I'm not sure if this is in all of their tiers. However, I'll be able to from here select the products I want, and then I'll be given a pop-up where I can take these straight into Cerebro. It saves me a step. Like I said, if you're using another tool, you can absolutely go into the search page, just look at what's ranked. Don't worry about the sales numbers because you can't really pull those. Only look at where kind of where something is ranked. Again, ignoring all the sponsor placements, just grab the top relevant ones, and then you can go manually input that into whatever tool you have. All right, so I'm going to go through here. I'm going to select this product, go select this one. Again, I could be paying attention to the price point. We're at a lower price range, although we only have a single blanket. So we might take that into account. I like this one. It's only got 2. It's got a blue one here. That's pretty nice. This one has 4 and it's $24. It's pretty generic, so maybe I'll do that. Let's see how many. Okay, selected 5. See how this one, now this is a high sales volume here, and this is a really good illustration. I'm not going to select this one. Why am I not going to select this one? Because notice it's a set. Although it's technically ranking here, and then although it's among the highest search volume, I'm not going to select it because this is not relevant to my product. I want to pick the things that are relevant to my product because that will create a much better and curated list for me. This one as well, this one's more like puffy. It's not the very specific, although it is a muslin blanket. So again, depending on how deep I can go into this list and how many of these kind of more like products I can pull out with good sales volume. If I didn't see a lot of things with any decent sales volume on here, I might go ahead and select this because I have plenty to choose from. I'm going to skip over it. I'm going to look at this product as well. This is a single blanket, so actually that's a good one for me to look at. Let's see, we got 6. I'm going to do this one as well. Notice this has SP, skipping over it because it's paying to be there and I don't need to select it. I'm going to select this one as well. Let's see, we got 8, we got 2 more. Now, because I have additional ones to pick, notice how this one's a pink one. And it's obviously geared towards baby girl. I'm probably not going to pick this one because I want to pick, like, these ones are at least somewhat generic. And again, because I have such a depth of options, I'm going to select these ones. Cool. All right, so I selected 10. And because, just given what I can do with our what we pay for, I can click this Run Cerebro button, and then we can bring them directly into the tool, and then let's start curating our list. So let me bring this over here. I'm going to get rid of this stuff. Cool. All right, so we went through step 3. We got our top 10 products. Then step 4, and then step 5 is the one that I'm going to walk through specifically. Now, this I might go through it pretty in depth, seeing as we have time. And then as always, if you have any questions throughout this, feel free. There is a little like kind of Q&A button at the bottom. If you have any questions or you need me to clarify anything, be sure to hit that button, or there is technically a little hand raise button. I think we have few enough people in here that if you like, feel free to raise a hand and I can bring you up and maybe we can have a back and forth question as well. That would be kind of cool if anyone is down for it. So, all right, so we went through the steps, so we're going to generate a keyword list. So we kind of, helium 10 again, that little click option kind of creates this and makes it a little bit easier for us. So you perform a reverse station search using the products you selected in step 3. Again, with what we have, it's a one-click option in the browser. And then this is another one. Depending on the number of keywords returned, you can refine the list by filtering the search volume by a minimum of 300. So in this particular case, and you can see the number of filtered keywords here, I have 18,592 keywords to go through. That is a lot of keywords. And so for that case, because I have so many keywords returned, what I'm going to do is I'm going to refine this list and make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go up here into search volume, and you can type 300, make sure it's in the minimum, and then you can just apply the filter. And you'll notice that just gets rid of all of our super low volume keywords. So now we're looking at a list of 3,000 keywords, which like significantly refined what we have to kind of sort and filter through. And again, I'm going to go through kind of like the very specific steps and how we'll do that and how I kind of think about it in relevancy. Let's see. And then next you'll download the list and you'll open the Google Sheets. So we're pretty much flying through here. I know we allocated an hour for this. So I want to make sure that I go through this sorting and filtering option. But if you all have any questions, we might even do a Q&A session at the end. So I'm going to download it as an Excel file. This might take a hot minute depending on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up in Google Sheets right here. So we're going to do this. We're going to open it up and then we're going to have fun going through this list. And for those of you who join a little bit late, this particular workshop, what we're doing is we're going through just generating our first keyword list. We're not going to take it this next step beyond and go through and start segmenting for our campaigns. Now you're going to see me do a little bit of that as I go through this list and really kind of curate it and highlight it and start kind of refining it. So I'm going to walk you through this process. However, actually building out the campaigns, there's more than one way to do it, and it really depends on your goals and kind of what your business goals are, more than just your individual product goals. So I might, if people are interested, do a follow-up to that and go through the two different setups I would recommend depending on your goals. Might be good. So I like freezing this row, and then I like freezing the first column just so I can scroll back and forth and I can get an idea of kind of how this stuff works. Now you might want to look at some of these columns for this purpose. I'm going to get rid of some of these columns just so it makes it a little bit easier. I don't really care so much about the Screwbo score. Search volume trends kind of interesting. I do like keeping these suggested bids because there are some things that you can do with them when it comes to kind of defining the launch. I don't really care about these. I do like keeping the CPR because that kind of gives me an idea of the how aggressive you kind of have to be with some things later on when I'm building out my campaigns. Amazon recommended, don't really care about that. Don't really care about these ones either. Sponsor rank average, sponsor rank count. I mean, you could keep those if you wanted. Don't really care about this. Now, this position rank is actually the first ASIN that we inputted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it over here to be in line with these other ASINs. And then I'm just going to copy this here so I can have everything in a line. So the things that we really care about here, and I'm going to create a filter here. I have to remember which one it is. Okay, ranking competitors count. Now, what we used to do is we would go through and say oh, how many competitors are ranking for this particular search? You can run a formula, which is a count A formula. However, Amazon actually built that into their tool in the form of a ranking competitor count. If you have another tool that doesn't have this, I want to quickly walk through how you would do this. So what you would do is you want to say, you run a count if formula. So count if, and count if basically says, hey, I want you to count how many of X. And then in this case, we would say, I want to see how many of these. So you're looking at all of the 10 competitors rank in, and you would have to type equals are less than, you might do say top 30, or maybe I want to do top 40. You can go a little bit deeper. The higher your number, the more competitors you'll have show up. So I like to do maybe top 30 or top 35, and then you would enter that in, and then if you click enter, you could drag it down the sheet, and it basically says, hey, how many of the competitors are ranking here? And maybe if we did top 20, it would kind of show the same. That, again, is not really necessary given that we have this competitor count here. But I just wanted to show you how to do that in case you needed to do it with another tool. because the only requirement, I like having tools that are specific to the Amazon platform. I know there's other ones that people use like Google and other like keyword research tools. You can use that. I do like having the search volume and data specific to Amazon because it will give you much better results when you go to like refine things. Okay. So what we need to do here, so we need to filter this column. We need to filter the ranking competitive count to eliminate the keywords where the products don't rank. I like to do in the top 3 spots. So what this column tells me is, hey, how many of these competitors that we've selected that again are super, super specific to our product, how many of them are ranking within, on the top spots on all of these different search pages. And if you notice how it's sorted highest to lowest, see how everything a 9 is super relevant to our product. We're seeing muslin swaddle blankets, muslin swaddle, muslin swaddlers, boy receiving blankets, muslin. Notice how that's really, really specific to our product. So everything that, again, these competitors, which we know are super relevant to our product and they have good volume on our top keyword that we've identified, it makes it much easier to refine a list that, again, is very specific to us and our product. And then what we're doing in this scenario is we're then going deeper into this list and saying, hey, let's start highlighting things. Let's start grouping things. And through this process, which again, I do recognize that this is a little bit manual. Me talking through this is going to take a lot longer. If I was doing this by myself, I could probably get this done in maybe 20 minutes, maybe 45 minutes if I was going super crazy with it. So as you get through this process, again, 1, you'll get a lot better at it, but 2, you're going to get an insane amount of insight into your market, into your shopper search patterns, how people are searching it. You'll recognize we'll go through see if we can find any clusters of like specific shopper searches, which if you have a bunch of variations when you're launching, then identifying very specific searches for those variations is going to allow you to then go through and maybe create campaigns around those specific shopper search groupings. All right, let's go through and let us filter by this. So I don't really, this kind of competitor ranking score or filtering by this allows us to say, hey, where do we not have very many of these particular products searching? And actually, to illustrate this, I'm going to sort by the competitor ranking score, lowest to highest now. Look at the keywords and notice how they're like not even relevant to the products. We're seeing like woodland baby, modern baby, bye-bye blankie, nursery bunny, like all of these. There's a lot of brand names here. But even the ones like newborn essentials for baby, and we already kind of established like that's not super relevant to the product. It's not our specific shopper searches. So we can just like go through and say like anything that's a 1, let's just eliminate it. I mean, we have things that are specific, but like little unicorn blanket, not even relevant whatsoever. We can just completely get rid of these, not even bother with them. And I used to have to, before I, kind of heard about this whole like competitor ranking counts and like identifying relevant keywords this way, I used to go through this list of like 3,000 keywords manually, every single list. And my gosh, it was like painful. So this is a really good, like quick refine process that allows you to just get things off your plate and you can be confident that you don't even have to deal with it. So I oftentimes like to eliminate anything that's 1, 2, 3, or 4 as far as the relevant shopper counts. It's really up to you. You could look at, say 3 if you wanted to, but one other thing you could do is you could look at 3, sort, and just say like, yeah, it's like soft baby blanket girl. That's still, I'm not really seeing anything in this case. So I can completely eliminate the ranking competitor count 3. Again, you could go deeper up to 5 if you wanted to. Maybe you're not seeing anything, but at this point, twin muslin blanket. Maybe we'll just keep it at that. All right. So we kind of refined to rank 3. And next we're going to sort by search volume. So this is kind of like our end step. And this is kind of, again, where the looking at the specific searches comes into play. So next we're going to go through here and we're going to sort by the search volume. And we're going to see what comes to the top of the list. Let's look here. Where's this competitor rank? Oh, looks like we have blanks. All right, so let's get rid of the blanks because that's not going to help us. All right, there we go. That's better. All right, we're sorting by search volume. Again, Swaddle Me, 0-3 month. No, not relevant to us. Again, same as when we were going through and we're finding the list. If in doubt, go, copy this, go to Amazon search, paste it in, figure out how relevant am I to this particular search. Again, look at the search page, figure out what that looks like, make your determination there. If there's at any point you're like, I'm not quite sure. So if I wasn't quite sure, I would look at this page and you can immediately say, nope, that's not it. I'm not interested. Now, muzzle and swaddle blankets, we already know this, and we know that this is super relevant. So here's where I like to start color coding things. So what you're going to do is highlight the highest search volume, most relevant keyword. So for me, I might highlight this. I think I do orange sometimes or yellow. Doesn't matter what colors you're using. Again, just to make sure you remain consistent. And then what you're going to do is you're going to work down the list, highlighting all of the relevant keywords. And I would say pro tip is use different keywords to combine different shopper search clusters. And I'm going to kind of also go through what I consider like a cluster, or also how you can look at like variation specific keywords versus maybe what we can deem as more generic keywords. Generic and variation specific keywords to me, because you'll actually hear me talk about that a lot. If anyone asks me about like what type of strategy should I run for variation listings, what you want to do is find like any searches that pertain to like any kind of style, color, size, etc., to that one specific variation that you have. So in this case, we only have one product, it's a blue. But if we had like a blue one and a green one and a pink one, then we would, again, be able to kind of refine towards that. And anything that is generic means the particular shopper search doesn't indicate to us that they're searching for any one specific type, style, color, etc. So in the case of muslin swaddle blankets, I know nothing else and they're looking for this particular type of blanket for this particular type of purpose. I don't know if they want the blue one, the green one, the pink one. They haven't told me. Versus if I go down here, baby blankets for girls, it indicates to me a little bit the type of product, specific style that they're looking for. If you excuse me, I'm going to take a drink before I run out of voice. Okay, I know we got 15 minutes. Hopefully I won't take up 15 minutes with this. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to boop the Q&A button. Oh, we do have a question. Let me look at that real quick. I cluster my keywords when Amazon chooses my lottery, or I might call it catch-all campaign. Yep. So it looks like you're running a catch-all campaign with 363 targets. So annoying when we spend time breaking words into clusters. Yes, breaking keywords into clusters is a manual process. It is a very tedious process. I do sympathize with that. However, it is a worth it if the product has enough volume to make it worth it, is what I would say. All right, I'm going to go through here. Let's go down our list. So if we're looking at baby blanket, we've already kind of established that these are generic keywords. Now, if I've identified something in here that does have high search volume, that is kind of relevant to my product somewhat. Now, I did kind of tell you that I wouldn't launch on this keyword. It's kind of too varied. I have enough search volume on very specific keywords, so I'm not interested. But sometimes if I kind of catch these keywords, because I'm going to be keeping this list somewhere, I might just kind of highlight these for myself and say, like, these are kind of like, if I were to go a step beyond what is my high relevant target set, I might be kind of interested in these keywords here. All right, again, baby blankets for girls. So here's a way where we can start getting super specific to our product launch. This has good volume, but again, it's generic baby blanket, but notice it's for girl. Doesn't pertain to our product. Our product is blue. I probably would never go after this keyword unless I get completely exhausted all other keywords and I was looking for my next mountain to climb. I don't think I would bother with that. Again, receiving blanket, swaddles for newborn. These are all kind of somewhat generic baby boy blankets. Now, this is a good way to illustrate going kind of further down into the search results. Because notice here, if I'm just skipping over this, I'm like, for girl, this is, say 24,000 search volume. This is a very high search volume. If I push, if I blow past all of these like 13,000, 11,000, I'm still getting down into keywords that have like 2,000 search volume, 3,000 search volume. I have space to play here. Again, remember when I said if you go more refined, more specific, you're going to end up with less search volume. However, if you go too broad, you're going to end up with maybe lower conversion rates or a harder time vetting the product because you're not showing up against your specific shopper base. So this is kind of where that balance comes in. And again, when I said like doing this process is going to give you a really, really good idea of your particular market. The hardest products to launch are the ones where you just keep going down into the search volume, down into the search volume, down into the search volume. You're looking at it going, I don't really have any super specific keywords for the product. Now, you might just say baby swaddles. You could launch on those. These are kind of pretty close. But if all we had was not baby swaddles, what if all we had was like blanket, muslin, I don't know what else, like a wrap or something. And there wasn't like baby muslin, baby blanket. Like we didn't see anything that was like very, very specific. I would start to like be like, oh, okay, this is going to be a little bit harder because I'm going to get lower conversion rates on these. It's going to be a little bit harder vetting my product. I'm kind of bracing myself for a launch that's going to be more difficult versus in this case, I'm like, we got a lot of great search volume and a lot of like very specific keywords. So in that case, I know I'm going to be pretty good. All right, let me go through here. So swaddles for newborns. See, things like this. Remember when we looked at swaddle blankets? I'm kind of remembering what I found in, step 2 of like, okay, but here we look at muslin baby blanket. That's another really good one. So I'm going to start highlighting these in yellow. So these are my relevant keywords. Receiving baby blanket boy, pretty specific to the product. Again, when in doubt, I'm going to take it to Amazon and I'm going to search because receiving blankets, I think our product could be specific to receiving blankets, but to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. So if I ever see anything like receiving blanket or like I said, swaddle blanket, I oftentimes will go and like search it on Amazon and determine like, is this another way that shoppers are referring to my product? I know that they're referring to it by the type of fabric, which is muslin, but are they referring to it as a receiving blanket? That would be interesting for me to know. And again, this is what I was talking about when kind of finding out the clusters. So I'm looking at these receiving blankets. And these ones are kind of like they're like thinner blankets. And I'm looking at the top. It looks like there's a lot of cotton stuff. And then here's a muslin one. Again, this might be one that's kind of adjacent. I'm kind of getting, again, it's almost specific, but I would prefer to see like, can we get even deeper into it and get more specific to our product? So baby blankets for boys, again, could be pretty specific because we have a blue one. Here we have muslin blanket. Now, my question here is when we're talking muslin blanket, are we talking about, I don't see in the word baby anywhere here. So I would be curious when it comes to a muslin blanket, is it only the baby products or is it also referring to, so when we say muslin blanket, this is all adult products. And this is why it's really good. And this just really helps you understand your market. So, okay, there are adult size muslin blankets. So if I'm launching and I'm seeing things with just, very narrow, again, this is be more broad because you can see that there's adult size and then there's also more like baby receiving blankets here. I know if, again, you're getting such a wealth of understanding of your shopper search market, again, is this process manual? Yes. My personal opinion, this is how you start to like really understand before you even stick keywords into your campaigns where you should be launching. All right, so I'm going to go through a little bit deeper. I'm going to see if I can see it. And again, as I go deeper, I'm also looking at the search volume. I'm saying where is this? And then if I start to get like all the way down here, to like 500, 300, and I've only had, like maybe 5 keywords or so, then I'll probably go back up. Okay, maybe get a little bit more generic, and then I'll kind of just start like washing through them like that. So that is my process. And I want to see if I can find what I was saying about the like clusters. So clusters for me in this case, most likely would be the keyword boy. So like very specific. This is another great one, muslin blanket baby. Again, because I already have like searched additional products, I don't even have to go and search this on Amazon. I'm like, oh, yep, that's exactly, kind of what I understand my particular shopper is looking for. It might be like, for instance, we don't have a super neutral blanket, but if we were, let's see, if we were more maybe like this blanket type, or we were these ones, you might start looking at those clusters and say, okay, so baby blankets neutral is like a good one. I kind of wonder if I can find any other like neutral keywords and maybe kind of put those in a particular campaign and just test to see how well my products convert on like that one kind of like specific shopper, like, baby blankets unisex or neutral. It would be specific to my product from like a style perspective. So that would be a good cluster, again, thing for me to kind of like pull out and test. Again, muslin swaddle is a great one. I can pull that out. And again, I would just continue to go through this list. I want to see, we only have about 10 minutes left. I want to see if anyone has any questions on this process. So let me pull it over. I guess my question, if anyone wants to either raise a hand and answer, or if you want to drop it in the Q&A chat. Does this make sense to anyone? Do you understand this process? Do you think it's going to be helpful? Or do you have any questions around this process? Free to type it in the Q&A chat. Or actually, there is a little raise a hand button if anyone wants to do that. Seeing as we probably have about 5 minutes left, feel free to do that. Raise a hand, and I can actually let you answer a back and forth question really quick. That would be helpful. All right, looks like, all right, awesome. Melissa was helpful. Sorry I couldn't join. Are you uploading the replay? Yes. So I will be uploading the replay, I believe, to YouTube, but I will definitely be sending the replay to anyone who signed up for this webinar. And then I'll also be giving you all a link to this SOP step-by-step. So if you want kind of like an SOP, and then I'll also have a link to this. Can you display step 5 so we can screenshot? Yeah, feel free to screenshot here as well. And then if you, again, I'll give you all a copy of this. I put this together for me to be able to share it with you all. So if anyone wants a copy of this, feel free to do that. Cool. Great. Thanks. You are very, very welcome. Yeah, I really hope it was helpful. Like I said, this process, 5 steps, some of them go pretty quick. Step 2 and step 5 are really where you really start understanding your market well. And then actually, if anyone has any additional feedback, again, feel free to drop it in the Q&A. I didn't go through and like create a launch strategy based on these particular keywords. However, if you want me to create a webinar or training around that, that might be a good idea. The only reason I didn't do that is because the strategy really, really depends on your goals, and more importantly, like your business goals, kind of what you're looking to do. If you're trying to stay more profitable, if you're trying to really grow your brand for an exit, those two things will be completely different. So if you would like to see that training, again, feel free, and anyone watching the replay, feel free to drop a I don't know, a comment or something. Yeah, so focus on profitability. Yep. So that would be, again, like going more deep, going more specific tends to be where you find better profitability. And then if you are going more broader, those tend to be more expensive and then tend to, not always, but convert less. And then that will typically translate to less profitability. However, the search volume's higher, so your potential for sales are going to be more significant there. So it just depends. Cool. Do we have any additional questions, or does anyone feel like raising a hand and asking anything? Feel free to do so. I think I'll get a notification if that happens. I'm not sure. Actually, I could test it over here, see if I get a notification. If I do. Oh. If anyone's raising a hand, let me know, because I don't think I see it anywhere. Interesting. Cool. All right. Well, if there are no additional questions, I might give you 5 minutes of your evening back. But for those of you joining, I really, really appreciate, again, if you have a last minute question, feel free to drop it in the chat. Or again, we do technically have 5 minutes. You can feel free to raise a hand. But if not, I will end the recording. And again, I really, really appreciate you. Be on the lookout for recording probably sometime early next week is when I'll try and get it out, or maybe sometime later next week. Anyways, I really appreciate it. Hopefully this was super helpful. And I wish you all an awesome Thursday.